How to deposit in Interactive Brokers? The first thing is when we're on the platform, on the website, we go to Transfer and Pay. Here we click on Transfer Funds and it will take us to this page. Here you click on Deposit Funds, then click Select, and all the accounts I already have registered will appear here. But what you need to do is click on Use a New Deposit Method. Once you click here, you need to select the currency in which you are going to deposit. In this case, it can be any of the ones that appear here. So you simply choose it and the deposit methods will appear. If, for example, you invest in the US stock market, then obviously you will be investing in dollars. So I recommend you deposit in dollars from the start. Why am I telling you this? Because it could be that, for example, you want to deposit in another currency like Australian dollars, but what will happen is that this currency will later be converted to US dollars, and that way you'll have to make that conversion and you'll be charged the conversion fee. That's precisely why it's more advisable to deposit your funds directly in US dollars, so you can readily use this currency directly when investing. But if, for example, you're going to invest in another market that's, say, denominated in euros, then you can deposit directly in euros and you won't have any problem whatsoever. Now, if I choose euros, for example, you'll see that the deposit methods change completely. In the end, the most useful option will always be bank transfer, regardless of the currency you're depositing in. And then, through Wise, but honestly, I don't really like Wise because, for example, I have it here. And what happens is that with Wise, it's very easy to deposit. In fact, all the currencies listed here allow you to deposit through Wise. But what happens is that in order to deposit, you have to add money to Wise depending on the currency you want to add. For example, all the ones showing up here, you add them and then you can make the payment, but it's the same as depositing directly into Interactive Brokers. So I recommend depositing through Wise when you already have a balance available in Wise. But if you deposit and then send to Interactive Brokers, it ends up being much more expensive because you have to do the currency conversion right from the start on the Wise platform. So I don't think it's the best option. Once you've chosen which currency to deposit in, most people will probably choose US dollars. We're going to use the platforms available to make the deposit. In this case, the recommended option is if you have a bank account in the United States directly in dollars, you should use this option, which is through ACH. For this, you need to confirm with your bank that they offer the ACH option, and it's simple. You click on Get Instructions and then confirm that you want to continue. And what will happen here is it will automatically provide us with this information, the routing number and the account number. With these two pieces of information, you can transfer from account you have in the United States to your Interactive Brokers account without. Remember, the numbers appearing on the screen are my personal numbers, the numbers of my account. So if you transfer money and enter these numbers in your bank, that money will go to my account. Remember, these numbers are not the same for everyone. You need to log into your Interactive Brokers account, go directly to deposit, and then look at the numbers that appear there, copy them, and enter them in your bank to make the deposit directly into your account. This is very important. Now let's go back to another way of making a deposit. Let's go again to Transfer and Pay, here to Transfer Funds, and once again it will load the same page for us here. We're going to select Deposit Funds and again choose a new deposit method. The other way to deposit is if you want to deposit, for example, in dollars, but your account is not in dollars, it's in another currency. For that, we have this option called Bank Transfer. For this, we're going to click where it says Get Instructions, and it's going to be a little different. Why? Because in this case, we have to enter from which bank we're sending the money, then the account number, and then if we want, add a username to this account to save it, and always know that this will be the account we'll use for the transfer. So let's suppose we are to transfer from any bank. Let's see, we'll put bank X here, then the account number. This is optional, but if you want, you can enter it here. In my case, I'm not to enter it. And then how much am I going to deposit? Let's suppose I'm going to deposit $2,000. Here we can set transfer to be recurring, meaning that this deposit will be made automatically. But in this case, we're not going to activate it. Next, let's remember this appears here. This here, let's say the fees depend directly on your bank. As I was saying, if your bank doesn't have a balance in dollars, but you're going to transfer from another currency in order to deposit $2,000, then your bank may charge you a fee. You should confirm this directly with your bank. Then this will be immediately available once the transfer arrives, so you can trade or invest in stocks directly within Interactive Brokers. And once the funds are available, you have to wait 3 days if you want to withdraw them. But anyway, once we have this, we click where it says next. And now what will happen is that it will give us this information. And what happens next? This part right here is super important to understand. You must never forget it, because otherwise the money will end up somewhere else. When you go to send the money from your bank, no matter which country you're in, you must always make sure to include this information shown here in the payment reference. What appears first is your account number, which in this case is my account number. And then on the right side, which is censored here because it's my name, your name will appear directly. And you must include this. Why? Because it doesn't work like, for example, ACH did, where you enter an account and that account was exclusively for your Interactive Brokers account. No, what happens is you must ensure this arrives with this reference so that when payment reaches Interactive Brokers, they know money is going to a specific account in the United States to your specific account. Then once we have this information and can include the payment reference when sending money, now we can enter other details. So here we will transfer to Interactive Brokers using this address shown in the United States. This is the bank account number and this is the routing number if needed. Although generally for international transfers, that is from an account not in the United States, they will ask for this code, the SWIFT or BIC code. Once you have it, simply copy it, which is this one here, and make the transfer. Finally, which bank the deposit will be made to. In this case, it's an account at Citibank with this address and in this country. And then here you see the amount, which in this case $2,000. And remember, this transfer can only be used to deposit $2,000 if I, for example, made a mistake and don't want to deposit $2,000, but rather $1,000. I can't use this same reference. I have to start a new transfer, click here on transfer and pay, and go through the whole process again. And here I choose a new amount, $1,000, $500. With this one, you absolutely have to make sure $2,000 are sent. And here's something very important. Remember that when you transfer, for example, from another country or bank, you must ensure that what arrives in the account you're transferring to this account shown here will be exactly $2,000. Why am I telling you this? Because if you transfer from a currency other than dollars, what happens is the bank will convert it and charge you some fees. And it could be that you send $2,000, but in reality, only $1,900 arrive, for example. And in that particular case, the financial transaction might very well be rejected and you could potentially be charged a significant fee. That's why you need to make sure that exactly $2,000 arrive from the bank no matter what. And well, this basically works in much the same way. Let's go ahead and click on the transfer button again here. If you choose any other method of payment, well, any other currency, for example, if we were to select euros here, let's choose that particular option. When you go to transfer, it's the same thing. You click on get instructions. Here we have to enter the same information, which bank we're sending from, the account number if we want to assign a nickname, username, and the amount of euros we're depositing. And on the next page, it gives us the same deposit information. So it tells us the bank we need to transfer to, and it works the same way. And so on with all the other deposit methods. Here, for example, let's pick another one at random. For example, this one over here, and it works the same way. Look, bank transfer, we click on get instructions, enter the same information. I just showed you with dollars because most people will probably want to deposit in US dollars. That said, I'll see you next time. I hope this video was helpful to you. Let me know in the comments if you want me to make another tutorial about something similar in Interactive Brokers.